The Dallas Cowboys, America's team, a legacy of wins, a devoted fan base, and a whole lot of pressure to keep adding trophies to the case. But lately, there's been some buzz about whether their head coach, Mike McCarthy, is truly the man to get them back to Super Bowl glory.
It is interesting how, even when the Cowboys are having a decent season, the conversation always seems to circle back to whether a coaching change is on the horizon.
Well, that comes with the territory when you're at the helm of a franchise with such a storied past. And recent comments by Hall of Famer Troy Aikman added fuel to that fire. His speculation about McCarthy's future with the team really got people talking.
Aikman's words carry weight, there's no doubt about that. But it was Jerry Jones's response that I found particularly noteworthy. He was effusive in his praise for McCarthy, highlighting his outstanding qualities as a coach and emphasizing his great record and great experience.
It was a public display of confidence for sure, almost like Jones was trying to put a stop to any whispers of discontent before they could gain momentum.
But that's where the intrigue lies, isn't it? Because McCarthy's record with the Cowboys is a bit of a paradox. On paper, his 47-33 win-loss ratio looks pretty solid.
You can't argue with the fact that he's had winning seasons.
Exactly. But for a team like the Cowboys' regular season, wins are almost a given. It's the lack of playoff success that stings. That single playoff win in his 5 seasons just doesn't sit well with a fan base that expects championship runs.
It raises the question of what truly defines success in Dallas. Is it consistent winning, or is it all about hoisting the Lombardi trophy?
And I think that discrepancy between expectations and outcomes is where the tension lies. Jones might be satisfied with the progress McCarthy has made, but for many fans, it's simply not enough. They're hungry for playoff victories, for a return to that dominant era that defined the Cowboys for so long.
It's almost like there's this underlying conflict between the pragmatism of Jones, who sees the value in stability and incremental growth, and the passionate yearning of the fans who crave the immediate gratification of deep playoff runs.
And that conflict often plays out in the media narrative surrounding the Cowboys. You have voices like Aikman, representing the old guard, who believe that championship aspirations should always be the driving force. Then you have Jones, the shrewd businessman, who's likely weighing factors beyond just wins and losses.
Factors like financial stability, brand image, and perhaps even his own personal legacy as the owner who brought the Cowboys back to prominence.
It's a complex equation with a lot of moving parts, but at the heart of it all is this question of whether Jones's vision for the Cowboys aligns with the expectations of the fans, who at the end of the day are the lifeblood of the franchise.
And that brings us to the financial aspect of this whole situation. The perception that Jones prioritizes profits over championships is a common refrain among some segments of the fan base. They see him as a businessman first and a football enthusiast second.
That's a powerful narrative, and it's easy to see how it takes root. The Cowboys are a global brand, a money-making machine. And when the team experiences prolonged playoff droughts, it's tempting to draw a connection between those financial successes and the perceived lack of urgency to build a championship-caliber roster.
It feeds into this idea that Jones is more concerned with building his own empire than with satisfying the desires of the fans who have made that empire possible.
And that disconnect, whether real or perceived, creates a breeding ground for discontent and distrust. It adds another layer of complexity to the already delicate dance between owner, coach, and fan expectations. It's a fascinating dynamic to observe, this delicate balancing act between the business of football and the emotional investment of the fans.
It makes you wonder how Jones navigates those often competing interests. Is he truly immune to the pressure from the fans, or does he simply have a different timeline in mind for achieving ultimate success?
Perhaps he sees the bigger picture, understanding that building a lasting dynasty requires more than just a few flashy playoff runs. It's about creating a sustainable system that can consistently compete at a high level, both on and off the field.
But patience is a rare commodity in the world of professional sports, especially for a fan base as accustomed to winning as the Cowboys. They've tasted Super Bowl glory, and they want to experience it again.
And that's where the coaching carousel comes into play. When a team with championship aspirations falls short, the coach often becomes the scapegoat, the easiest target for change.
Even if there are underlying factors contributing to the team's struggles, like injuries or questionable personnel decisions.
It's a convenient narrative, and one that Jones himself has perpetuated in the past with his history of quick coaching changes.
Which makes his steadfast support of McCarthy all the more intriguing. Is it genuine belief in his abilities, or is there a strategic calculation at play?
Perhaps he recognizes that stability is key to fostering a winning culture. Constantly changing coaches can create a sense of uncertainty and instability within the organization.
It can send a message to the players that no one's job is safe. which could potentially undermine their confidence and performance.
And then there's the question of whether there's even a viable alternative out there. Would firing McCarthy guarantee a better outcome?
That's a gamble that any owner has to weigh carefully. The grass isn't always greener on the other side, and there's always the risk that a new coach could inherit the same challenges and ultimately face the same fate.
So perhaps Jones is taking a longer view, hoping that McCarthy can learn from his past mistakes and make the necessary adjustments to elevate the team to that next level.
But that requires a leap of faith, both from Jones himself and from the fans who have grown weary of watching their beloved Cowboys fall short of their lofty expectations.
And ultimately, the decision of whether to stay the course with McCarthy or make a change will rest on Jones's shoulders.
He's the one holding the reins, and it's his vision for the Cowboys that will determine the fate of the franchise.
But one thing is certain, the scrutiny surrounding his decision will be intense. The Cowboys are under a constant microscope, and every move Jones makes will be analyzed and debated by fans and media alike.
It's a high-stakes game they're playing in Dallas, and the fans are holding their breath, waiting to see if it pays off.
The weight of expectation is immense. You have the legacy of those legendary Cowboys teams of the past, the passionate fan base that lives and breathes this team, and the constant media scrutiny that comes with being America's team. It all adds up to a pressure cooker environment where anything less than a Super Bowl victory is often seen as a failure.
And that pressure trickles down to everyone, from the owner to the coach to the players on the field. It's almost as if they're carrying the hopes and dreams of an entire city on their shoulders.
And that can be a heavy burden to bear. It can lead to tense moments, to rash decisions, and to a constant sense of urgency that can sometimes overshadow the joy of the game itself.
But it's also what makes the Cowboys such a compelling story. The highs are higher, the lows are lower, and there's never a dull moment. It's a soap opera that plays out on the national stage week after week.
And right now, we're in the middle of a particularly dramatic chapter with McCarthy's future hanging in the balance. Will he be the hero who leads them back to the promised land, or will he become another casualty of the Cowboys' relentless pursuit of greatness?
Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure. The eyes of the football world will be on Dallas as this story unfolds.
Yeah.
And we'll be right here analyzing every twist and turn, trying to make sense of it all.
It's a privilege to be a part of this conversation, to witness this ongoing drama that is the Dallas Cowboys. Their story is a reflection of our own hopes and aspirations, our fascination with victory and defeat, and our enduring love for the game of football.
And so we wait with anticipation and a touch of trepidation to see what the next chapter holds for America's team.